Alright, I had to restart because I kept cussing, and I figured there's probably going to be some kids that see it, so... Alright, I'll get rid of this crap. This is the... This is a suspension tutorial that I said I was going to make in my last video. That was a week ago. I don't have a whole lot of time for playing Roblox. I'm really only on like a couple days every other week. So don't expect like a constant stream of updates. That combined with the stupid schoolwork, and then just like going to career center during the day, can't always be on. But for this chassis that I'm gonna make, I'm just gonna use quarter stud because you know, you can still make a decent design without having to use like 0.1 and 0.05, and it's easy to like get used to building with. And we're gonna make a driver seat suspension chassis, which is gonna be only using the vehicle seat, this part. That way there's no like keybinds you have to make, and vehicle seat suspensions are less laggy. They don't like require input, because if you're having a mech fight outside, it can cause a lot of mech seat or mech controller input lag, and when you make a vehicle seat suspension, it doesn't lag up like that. And it's also vehicle seats have their own like torque acceleration curve, where if you have a motor, you turn the motor on, it's instantly up to the RPM that you set it at, or up to the speed. There's not an RPM setting, but there's a speed setting, where with vehicle seats it's more gradual. So anyway, we're going to be doing double wishbone, where there's going to be a, well, I'll just put it together and I'll point you out what I'm doing. But one thing that you always want to set as like a piece of its own, and for me, I like color coding it so I can see them, is a hinge. And for like the suspension arms, it doesn't really matter the material, but when we start making the axles, we're going to want to make the hinges metal, and when I get to that point, I'll show you why. I might expand the center chassis just a bit. Oh, actually, hold on. I always do this because I hate smooth plastic. The normal plastic, you see the welds, it helps you see the parts easier, in my opinion. If you think that's dumb, then leave a comment, I guess. Maybe I'll finally get some engagement from my subscribers. Whoa, okay. I'm gonna make them thin because I don't want the drive axle. I don't want the suspension arms to get in the way of the drive axle. Okay, that's probably good. Distance. So what I'm doing right now is, like I said, making the arms for the suspension action. You don't have to make them all the same size as I do, but okay, I'll let these be one solid piece. I was going to have like an attachment point here and here, and have a thinner piece. It's fine. You know what, like I said, I'll finish up the arm and I'll tell you what's what. I haven't made one of these in a while. But hinges can only move around, like if I have a hinge like that, it only moves that way. And with the new physics engine, you can't get a part to move that way on the hinge. They're not as springy as before, so we don't need a whole lot of support. The way that double wishbone suspension works, which I guess I shouldn't call it a double wishbone in this instance, because for Roblox with hinges that can support themselves, you don't need a second set of wishbones. But this is where the wheel will attach, and because it's a parallelogram, these linkages make a parallelogram, so this will move up and down parallel to the car. We'll mount the spring here later, but right now I'm going to try to make a plate that the wheel will mount on, or at least it won't be a plate that the wheel will mount on, it will be a plate that holds the wheel, because the way driver seat suspension works is you're basically making an extension of a vehicle seat's wheels. Okay, I got an idea. We're going to put this all up front, so then it's going to be easier to fit the axle onto the wheel. Move that. Okay, I'm going to color code that. We'll make these pink, and then we'll make them non-collide because the axle's going to go through it. And we'll attach the center chassis piece back. Nah, should we? Because we need space for the axle. Yeah, that's right. Okay. I'm going to make a spot where the axle drivers are going to mount. Okay, so this part here is technically the wheel of the car. And what I mean by wheel is when you put a vehicle seat onto a part that has other parts attached to it, attached by a hinge, then it will drive those things. What was I doing? Diamond plate there. So like if I attach this to the side, if it's attached onto the side and I unanchor this, then it would spin this part as if it's a wheel. So what we're doing with this, I should thin this out. So what we're doing with this is we're going to attach it here, and then we're going to attach an axle that will draw the reach from this spot to the wheel that's going to mount on this pink plate. So it's really driving this. And I will, I should move this back a bit. Once I'm done getting this aligned how I want, then I will demonstrate how you need to set up the axle. Because what I do right here, you can just copy and then repeat it for the other two. There's no, there's not going to be any special steering because vehicle seat cars already steer on their own. Next, we're going to make a U-joint make a U-joint. I'll finish it and then point you out what it's gonna do. You want the driver hinge to be metal, because metal is has more density and it doesn't get compressed as much, so the car can take a bit more torque from the seat. Did I have that right? I'll have to bring this back a bit. And the reason I am bringing it back toward the center is because you want your wishbone hinges to align with your axle hinges. So you see, like right here, they're both on the same axis. They're going to move up and down the same way. If they're not, then it won't, the action won't move correctly. The suspension arm won't move up and down as it should. I don't know if I made the axle, I'll move this up front a little bit more for space for the driver axle. Okay, now I'll make the axle part. And the axle part is going to be another U-joint, except wow. Maybe I should have scripted this out. I don't really care though. I just wanted something that was like straightforward. You could watch it and throw it together yourself. I'll paint these so you can kind of see what's going on. God damn it. Okay, so the red part is attached to the driver, but the blue part rotates separately, and that's so it can, the axle can bend as the suspension arm bends, but still be able to rotate. And it's called I think it's called a U-joint axle, or universal joint. And we are going to do the same thing to our wheel over here. Still keeping the hinges aligned with the ones that are on the suspension arm. Gonna be that center point that the U-joints will attach on. Oh yeah, hold on. That green part is a part that is not solidly attached to either of the U-joints. I probably should have said that earlier. It it's what they both rotate on. And I'm just copying it. What I've seen in some suspension videos is they will just have these two links here connected without having them be connected in the middle. And what I find is that under enough RPM, like once you get going fast enough and the axle spins fast enough, they like to split apart and then it's not so good. They like pull apart and it slows the car down, so I put a joint in the middle there so it doesn't try separating from centrifugal force. So now we've got the axle complete. We will now make the point where it attaches onto the wheel. And the wheel, I think we're going to make it 3. 4. 3. I think 3 will be okay. Thick wheels look kind of ugly if they're too thick. But it's kind of a big chassis, so maybe 1 stud thick is fine. Oh yeah, actually, you have to make these stick out. Oh yeah. Okay, so what I just did here was not, actually we'll make it a bit more compact. No, we won't. I said I'd try to make it easy. So the wheel is going to attach to this surface, but I want the wheel to attach as a hinge onto this pink plate, but I want these 2 red points to weld onto the wheel. So what I'm going to do is make the surface of the wheel smooth, and I don't want it to attach to here, so I'm going to make that smooth, because a smooth surface doesn't attach to a smooth surface. And then I'm going to make the surface of this plate hinge, and I'm going to make sure it's centered with the axle. So now, I have to attach this pink plate back onto the center plate here. So now, once I get this centered, and we stretch it out, and I can look at that drag point. Now that we've got this centered, the wheel is going to be driven by this axle, but it is attached on a hinge connection to the wishbone. And I have to check to make sure nothing else is welded. Is that? No, it's not. Okay. Make sure nothing else is welded. And I may make the axle non-collide. I may also make it a bit more compact. Okay, I think everything's good. Save this over a slot that didn't work out. I'm paranoid about that. Then, okay, settings should be fine. Does it drive? Yeah, it drives. Alright. Now we want a spring. And the spring that the maker of the game has made doesn't give you a stiffness, or the setting's bad. There's no stiffness and dampening, so you have to play with the length, and it's dumb. You have to make it so if you want the spring to be stiff, you have to make it so the spring is trying to reach a length that it doesn't have. It's trying to make itself longer than it is, and it just vibrates, and it's stupid. So your best bet is just to make this length and the free length the same, and then play with leverage on the spring. So I am going to make all of these a bit smaller, and what I just pulled out were ball joints, or I mean mech joints. Whatever, it doesn't matter what they're called, because in Roblox Studio they're called ball constraints. And these guys will snap. They come into groups of 2 because they snap together and they make a ball joint. And we're going to attach these onto the springs, so that way we don't have to position the springs on an angle or anything. We can just, here, I'll color code them. Like these 2 are going to snap together, just like these. So you put one on top, and that attachment point is going to attach onto the top of the car. And then this attachment point, we put it at the bottom of the spring. That's going to snap to here. We put it on the wishbone, on the suspension action. Don't let these two arms weld together, by the way. Okay. Then, there's not attached to anything. I'm going to raise up the spring attachment point so it's got a bit of travel. Alright, well, we'll try it out. It's vibrating a little bit. Probably because it's not a good, doesn't have too much leverage on the car. Or like the leverage is weird. But like I said, it's mainly due to the vibration is mainly due to springs being dumb. And there's no way to tell the stiffness that they're set at because there's no stiffness option. So how do you deal with that? We can reduce the leverage that the spring has on the suspension arm by bringing the spring's attachment point to the arm toward, I think it's called the fulcrum. You're decreasing the leverage at the spring at the cost of making it more, giving it more travel. So we increase this more toward that hinge. The spring is going to have less leverage, but it's also going to be able to expand more. But we can always deal with that. See, it's weaker. So we kind of want something in between. Well, I think, let me try lowering the ride height. I'm going to make the top attachment point lower, and I'll see if it will make it raise the car up a bit. Yeah, okay, I think this is a good stiffness. What I am noticing is the spring, or the axle, is maybe too much torque. It's kind of like jerking the car around. So I'm going to adjust it a bit. Still a little too much torque, but we can decrease it if I want. Right now, I am just going to copy everything that I've done to this part of the car and just add on to this part here and then duplicate it to the back. Is that right? Yeah. Flip this around because the hinge is going to be on the other side. It's aligned right, and then we copy the driver, flip it around because the hinge is on the other side. Then there. Is it centered? You see, yeah. Okay. Now just copy the axle. Alright, I might edit this part out because it gets boring. Since y'all already... Make sure it was aligned with the other one. Alright. Then copy the spring support, and then we gotta... You can't copy shoulder joints and springs because it's dumb or stupid, but it's not hard to spawn more in. Though it's kind of tedious when you want to, if they're like constantly resizing them. These don't need color coded anymore, but these do. You should probably color code them as soon as you spawn in. If you can't memorize them already. 3. This is part of why I kind of don't like making tank treads, because you can either make them out of hinges, and hinges are kind of meh, or you can do them out of shoulder joints like these, and it takes forever to have to resize all of them. Bleh. Hate that. So I make them out of hinges. Okay, it should be set up. Yeah. Alright, we got a front axle. Except... what the heck? Oh, the left wheel is not... oh, we had to turn it around. Hold up. I think it was welded onto something. Yep, it was this. Because I have this side on smooth, but I didn't rotate it. I had to rotate the wheel too. What I just did there was I had copied these and moved them to the left, but I didn't rotate them because, well, I just now rotated them because I only had the, well, for this one, like this wheel, I had the left inner side smooth, but then when I move it here, it's going to be the outside side that's smooth, it's not the right side that's smoothed. Same thing with this part right here. Okay. It's working. I think the seat has too much torque. It's working though. Or you know what it could be? That the axles aren't non-collide. Often the case. Making sure every part of this axle is non-collide, and making sure every part of this axle is non-collide. I think we can group delete and then copy this, but it just takes a bit of modification once we copy it, like once we move it over to the other side. Okay, I'm gonna do collision off, and while I've got them all selected, I'm gonna turn them pink. So now anyone that isn't pink, I'm gonna know hasn't been edited yet. Alright. Collision off on the axles. Something's still wrong. Yeah, it's probably just too much torque on the car. Do 6. Oh, one of the parts is still collision on, I think. Could be why. It vibrates still. That's annoying. Could be too much torque. Yeah, it's still vibrating. I don't know what the hell's wrong with it. Oh, it's because the wheel's off center of the axle. What the heck? Then I haven't, It's not the right elevation. I see. Glad I got that cleared away. Yeah, much nicer. Of course, it's dragging itself, so it's not as much, not getting as much grip right now. Not doing a bad. It's not a bad car, I would argue. All right. Now we will duplicate this, and I will show you how to do that. Don't tell your friends, because I don't know if this is supposed to be patched or not. So what you're gonna do is select all of this with the delete tool, and then we get rid of it, but we don't save. We load the car back, move everything you've got ahead of it, move all that ahead. Then we've got that same axle back there. Of course, now it's going to be the rear of the car, so we're going to have to move a few things backward. Like, I just didn't, you don't have to, you could just add a bar and then add it to the back, but I want it to be uniform, so we're switching it around. I'm going to get rid of all these hinges, then copy, delete all of these, get these here. Take all this, move it to the other side. Oh, we have to move these attachment points to the other side, as well as these. Then get the wishbones set up like that, and then the hinge bars I attach the hinges on, move them back on the hinge. I think we should be good. Should all be assembled right. Probably delete these, just resize it down. I don't know what I've been doing with that, but same for that. Oh, did I just do that with this one too? Yeah. Alright. Everything's assembled in the back, just flipped around. I'll drive it back here. It's looking a little short. It's looking like a little short car. I think I will extend it some. Drag it out 2 studs. See in the little counter down there, it says 2 studs. I'll move it 2 studs more. 2 studs. Now, 4 moves back by 2. Yeah, it's looking a bit more normal, ain't it? No, but not as compact as a normal car. Okay, last thing we have to do, I save this. Save often. You never know when your internet's gonna be as... Call myself. You never know when the internet is gonna be stupid. Two shoulder joints for each spring. Man, I don't know, I might give up and start cussing because I don't know if a kid could follow this. I'll try though. I'll like look through it, and if I see something, I'll cut it out. Just so color code. You may think me weird for color coding, but it helps me at least. Oh shoot. Yeah, you can edit the value down here to change it to a different size, but something that I've often found is when you do that, then once you, if you save it, if you do that and then you save it and then you load it in, load the slot in again, it'll just revert to what you did before you typed in the value. So that's why I don't. Some people it doesn't happen, some people it does. It used to not happen to me, and then like one day it just started doing that, so I stopped using the resize by numbers. What was this for the front? Okay. Oh, you know what I also should probably do is make the springs non-collide, because they're kind of at an angle doing that, so making it non-collide would be a good idea. So yeah, all right. Move that point to the top, and the top will mount to the top chassis point. The bottom one on. Bottom mounts to the bottom one. And color them black because the color coded ones look ugly. I could say the same about the color coded axles. Color doesn't matter. If you think my color coding is stupid, don't do it. If I'm being honest, you probably shouldn't, because it kind of detracts from the car. Alright, got all the springs duplicated, suspension duplicated. What the? Oh yeah, we haven't added suspension arm limiters. Does this drive okay though? Oh Christ. It does drive okay. Just wheels don't have any grip. Oh, that's another thing I gotta tell you guys about. Wheels don't have any grip. So the reason that I had copied the wheel from here is because you can't do this with cylinders, but wheels have a configurable grip. And I think the max is like 2, like you can set it to 100, but like really I think it doesn't matter. Once you go past 2 or 3, then it doesn't do anything past 2 or 3. Always set the elasticity to 0. Elasticity is bouncing and you don't want it to be bouncy for obvious reasons. Okay, I set friction up on them. Okay, so what I was talking about earlier with the suspension arm limiters is putting a block in between the wishbones so that they don't move all the way. Like they don't stretch like they just did and become deformed. So I just copied them and then made them thinner. And we'll try that. Oh, they're welded to the plate holders. They're the plates that hold the wheels on. So we thin them. Shouldn't be welded to anything now. Is that good? Looks like it. Okay. Got ourselves a working car, boys. I don't know why the front is like that. Oh my god, it might be in a laggy server. It's not supposed to do that. Alright, I don't like that it was sitting up so high. So we're gonna raise these up and it should make this car kind of sag out a bit. Sag down a bit. Tutorial car. Okay. Yeah, it's a good ride height, I would argue. I think the rear suspension would not. Alright. We may want to increase the... What do we do? I think I want to decrease the travel. I'm going to expand the blocks that are within the wishbones. So I'm going to lower the spring attachments, which will make the springs, would make the ride height higher. And then we're going to use a finer increment. Just use 0.05. Increase it. We're gonna turn this block to 0.35 stud. Then this chassis is basically done. I'm just tuning it so it works okay. A max his speed out really easy. Oh, that's because I have a low speed. Alright, we'll kick it up to 200. Because if your car can't go faster than what you can run, like, there's no point in making a car. Alright, we'll see if it can handle it. No, it does it okay. It just doesn't have good grip. Might increase the friction on the wheels. Oh my god. Yeah. Better. We may need to make it a bit heavier so it's not sliding around as much. Building like a good suspension chassis often involves a lot of tuning. So if you're like done making it and you don't want to see the tuning, you're just like, it's good enough for me, then don't feel bad for leaving the vid. But if you want this thing to work and actually have a point in like being in one of your save slots, by all means, continue watching. Hey, I technically made it work. Not that great though. Maybe I'll make some other smaller blocks metal instead. Diamond plate is goated. Oh dang. Still too much diamond plate. Let's just try the suspension hinges. We're in a laggy server. We may have to switch servers. Or it could be this car just can't handle the speed. Could be ride height too. Let's try stiffening it a bit with leverage. Now that the hinges are attached a little bit of ways away from the hinge point. Oh, that worked quite well. That worked okay. By moving the spring's attachment point to the suspension arms away from the suspension hinges, the springs have a bit more leverage on the, what do you call it, the arms. Alright, let's try it out. It's not doing too bad. Wow. In just 20 minutes or so, I made one that beats my 300s as the second one. Looks like someone's chasing me around. I don't think they'll catch me though. It's a bit slow on steering, but hey, I mean, it's fast enough to get you away from walkers like that. Don't know if this could hit 300 though. If you really sat there and kept doing it, I'm not gonna drag the video out to like half an hour to 45 minutes trying to get this thing to hit 400, but it's good enough for me. I'm gonna end it here. If you think I did something wrong, or you think I should try to add something to this, I know there's a lot wrong with this video. Oh god, I forgot the axle joiners in the back. Well, any kind of like something you want to say or whatever, don't be afraid to say it. There's a lot wrong with this tutorial. It wasn't much of a tutorial, just me like throwing something together. But I hope you enjoyed it, or at least learned like one thing from it.